Morning, everyone. You know, the situation in Iraq continues to worsen by the day. The terrorists have seized control of border crossings in Syria and in Jordan, and their march toward Baghdad continues. The president has a number of options in front of him, which, if part of a larger regional strategy, I would support. But my concern is whether the president will make a decision in time to reverse the terrorist momentum as it sweeps toward Baghdad. You know, the president's fond of saying that only the Iraqis can solve this problem. But we can't pretend that this isn't our problem as well. Allowing terrorists to gain a safe haven in Iraq from which to plan and launch attacks on Americans and our allies is a serious problem. We've got to be engaged in Iraq. It's in our national interest to help reverse the momentum and the spread of terrorism. Retreating from the world stage, in my view, is not an option. It only undermines our allies and leads to more chaos that puts Americans at risk. But this is part of a bigger problem. The economy continues to struggle. The president has no plan for economic growth and won't push his party to act on the good ideas that we've passed in a bipartisan fashion here in the House. The IRS targets a political opponent, lies about it, and the White House won't lift a finger to provide the truth to the American people. The VA's abuses continue to be revealed, and yet we still don't see a long-term plan for reform to VA. And not only does the president regularly ignore the law, he brags about it, and he brags about his willingness to change it unilaterally. First, this administration makes the wrong decisions, then it won't give the American people the straight answers. Instead, it's arrogance and incompetence right down the line. I think Americans deserve better, and the House will continue to listen to the American people and make their priorities our priorities. Our energy focus this week is a good example, as all of our solutions are to help families who are still asking the same question: where are the jobs?
Are you planning to initiate a lawsuit against the Obama administration and President Obama over his use of executive action?
I am.
Can you explain why that is necessary and what you hope to achieve?
You know, the Constitution makes it clear that the president's job is to faithfully execute the laws. In my view, the president has not faithfully executed the laws. We have a system of government outlined in our Constitution with the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. Congress has its job to do, and so does the president. And when there's conflicts like this between the legislative branch and the administrative branch, it's, in my view, our responsibility to stand up for this institution in which we serve.
Could this lead to an impeachment proceeding against the president?
This is not about impeachment. This is about his faithfully executing the laws of our country.
Mr. Speaker, over 3 days there's been 3 separate hearings on the IRS. We've heard from the IRS commissioner. The head archivist has said it's clear to him that they broke the law. Still, the administration has not responded or done anything about this. What else can and will the House of Representatives do to pursue the IRS case?
Well, I think the committees that have been looking at this, the Ways and Means Committee and the Government Reform Committee, I think at least one of the committees have put together a letter trying to get into what I will call the forensics of what happened and who else may be aware of this, and to track down any possible way that those emails may be retrieved. So that's the current thinking on this.
Beyond that, though, any type of court action or any suit on that?
We've passed a bill calling for a special prosecutor. We've asked for a special prosecutor. Those requests have fallen on deaf ears at this point.
Speaker Boehner, you mentioned...
hold on, it's right here.
You started with the Iraq...
The guy next door.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. No, red tie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Do you think any of the pay-fors in Senator Wyden's short-term highway funding extension stand a chance of passing the House?
I have no idea what his pay-fors are, but I know the House Ways and Means Committee is working on a package, and I expect that after the district work period over the 4th of July, we'll see some activity there.
Very briefly, what sort of package do you anticipate passing both chambers?
We'll let the Ways and Means Committee do their work. Yes, sir.
Okay, you opened up with Iraq, so I'm curious if you have any suggestions for what the president should do there.
Well, what he should do is have an overarching strategy to deal with the growing threat of terrorism. You know, Rand Corporation came out several weeks ago and outlined that there's a 58% increase in the number of terrorists that are out there intending to inflict harm on Americans here and abroad. There's a growing problem. Iraq is but one part of that problem. That's why I've called over the last couple of weeks for the president to outline a strategy to deal with this overall threat that we face.
On the XM Bank issue, some of your colleagues believe it's crony capitalism, it's picking winners and losers. But the House GOP has also supported tax breaks for businesses that have depreciable equipment, that do a lot of research and development. How are those two issues different?
I know, I'll let you ask some of the policy wonks that get into this. But if you look at our tax code, those items that are used to produce goods typically are deductible in some fashion, whether it's the cost of materials or whether it's the machinery that's depreciated over some period of time. And it's our tax code, by and large, over the course of the last 50 or 60 years, has encouraged more investment in our economy. And so I can give you the tax side of this. When you look at the Export-Import Bank, it was originally designed to help us deal with unfair competition in the marketplace. And in some places, you look at government subsidies going to airplane manufacturers, as an example. And I think for a long time, the Export-Import Bank provided some equity to U.S. manufacturers. Having said all that, there's a big debate going on in our conference, and we're just going to have to sort our way through this. And, you know, my job is to help facilitate the sorting through of this so that we get to an outcome.
Do you anticipate that sorting through happening prior to the reauthorization deadline?
We'll see.
Mr. Speaker, on Iraq, I mean, a week or two ago, you had said, you know, prior to going down to the White House, you were interested in hearing what the president's policy was. You weren't going to put this forth. Now today, you said, well, this train may have gotten too far down the track and it might be hard to deal with this. Don't you feel, though, that you have some responsibility here that to say, here's what I think that we should do, here's what the president should be doing, to be giving counsel at that point, or is this strictly in the president's corporate counsel?
Listen, I called for more increased U.S. activity a year ago. In January, when the ISIS forces came across the Iraq border and began to gather territory, I called on the administration to act. And it's not my job to outline for the president what tools he should use or not use. It's not my job to outline a strategy for the president when it comes to the overall fight against terrorism. I don't have as many tools at my disposal as the president does. And so this is the president's responsibility. He's elected president. He's elected to lead.
Mr. Speaker, you've said a few times now on the Export-Import Bank that you wanted to see what the Financial Services Committee is going to do and things like that. But several people in leadership and across your conference have said what they specifically want to do. What is the gentleman from Southern Ohio, yourself, what do you want to happen?
Well, no, I'm not going to answer the question. You know, you tried to do this on immigration for the last 2 years. Listen, as the guy who's the facilitator of trying to get to a discussion, to get to an outcome, I think laying my cards on the table tilts the balance. I don't frankly think, I don't want to do that. I want to get our members to a place where they're comfortable, whatever that is.
You said yesterday that you were in a different position now from 2012 when you supported it. So you were Speaker then. What different position are you in now that you weren't in last time?
I didn't recall the 2012 vote on this, but there was a bipartisan effort to do this. I think more than half of our members supported it, and I support it. Given where the Export-Import Bank is today, Given the accounts of what's gone on down there in terms of kickbacks and other things, it's clearly time for all the members to take a serious look at this.
of immigration. You appointed a working group to deal with the problem on the border with this influx of children from Central America. What exactly do you expect that working group to do?
The working group was put together because you've got a group of members who I think are uniquely qualified to understand what's happening down there, to help our members understand what the facts are as opposed to what some of the fiction is, to suggest to the administration things that we think can be done or should be done, and, if necessary, make suggestions to our members about changes in the law that might need to occur. It just seems to me, given the magnitude of this crisis and the fact that it appears it's going to continue, that we ought to get a better handle on it.
Have you asked them to report back to you at a certain time so that you can start to decide what to do?
I've given them some suggestions, and we're going to help facilitate information for them, and I would hope that they'd have some information for the members that week that we're back after the 4th in terms of outlining more specifically just what the problems are.
What specific executive action or actions are you planning to challenge in court?
When I make that decision, I'll let you know.
Mr. Boehner, back to the lawsuit. Given how long it will take for a lawsuit to make its way through the courts and the fact that we're in divided government right now, do you really expect to change the president's behavior? Or isn't this just more about energizing your base right before the election?
No, this is about defending the institution in which we serve. You know, if you look back over the last 235 years of our history, there's been a movement between the inherent powers of the executive branch versus the inherent powers of the legislative branch. And what we've seen clearly over the last 5 years is an effort to erode the power of the legislative branch. I believe the president is not faithfully executing the laws of our country. And on behalf of the institution and our Constitution, standing up and fighting for this is in the best long-term interest of the Congress. Thanks.
How was Tiger Woods yesterday?
Good go. Have a good holiday.